Welcome to Solo Pro Radio. It's the only resource for self-employed professionals to grow their business. I'm Barbara Saunders, the Solo Pro Success Coach, and it's my mission to help brilliant creative solo pros go from floundering to flourishing. And I do that as the director of the International Association of Self-Employed Communication Professionals and as the founder of the Solo Pro Academy, where I have programs focused specifically on helping solo pros build a profitable, custom-fit business. Swing on by soloprosuccess.com and pick up your free Income Accelerator Success Kit. If you'd like to join us, zip over to Solo Pro Radio on Facebook and like our page. You'll be able to ask questions, get to know our co-hosts, and find resources to help you connect and grow. I'm excited to jump right into today's talk because we're talking about authors and creating your own books and using all of your creative power. Today, my guest is professional artist, EFT trainer, and best-selling author Angela Treat Lyon. Angela's mission is to help creative people break the bonds of normalcy, live their passion, and create a solid, profitable business based on their unique talents and expertise. Angela's powerful training programs and her group and private coaching help her clients develop systems and habits that enrich and fuel their creative energy and their endeavors, so that they can build a permanent, lasting success. Angela also specializes in helping authors write, publish, and successfully market their books. She guides them through her system that helps them start the marketing process before even writing their book's first word. Angela is also founder and host of Daring Dreamers Radio, where she brings powerful resources and exciting people to her listeners to inspire them to keep on in the face of opposition and challenges. Stay tuned because we're going to talk a little bit about Angela's upcoming program, how to create month after month passive income with your Kindle books so that you can have money coming in every month for the rest of your life. Today, my guest is oh, there we go. I got so excited about that. Angela, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited about being here today and very grateful to have been invited. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I'm real excited to just dig in and learn more about what you've got going on. Let's start out with how you got here. What would you mind sharing a little bit of your journey into self-employment with our listeners?
Well, yeah. I don't think there ever really was a starting point. I think it started when I was born. I have never had, well, I shouldn't say never. I've had a few regular jobs, but I started selling my work when I was in high school because people would say, oh, that's so nice, can I buy it from you? And I would sell a drawing for $1, or a portrait for $5, a little pencil portrait. So the idea of having a 9-to-5 job just never sat well with me. I've had a few of them, but they were all disasters.
They didn't go well. I know a lot of us can relate to that. And kudos to you for having the chutzpah to get out there with your creative, masterpieces and start selling them. That's a challenge for so many creatives to let go of what they created.
Well, that's an interesting thing that you just said because it's a funny paradox. On the one hand, I was really willing, I still am, I'm very willing to let go of the work because if I held on to it, I wouldn't have anywhere to live. I'd be so jammed up. But on the other hand, I really didn't know anything about marketing. And I was embarrassed to say, this is for sale, you can have it for $5. So I would scale it down and say, well, you can have it for $1. So I spent many, many, many years as the perfect, the embodiment of the starving artist.
Right.
Until later on, where I learned more about marketing. But, artists aren't trained how to market or even to market or even to have a business.
Right. In fact, they're almost devalued by our culture, in that very way. You just draw or paint something. That's not, building a bridge. It's not hard, so why should you charge for it? And that's a mentality we've got to get our creatives out of, isn't it?
That's really true. That it's hard thing for artists because in the past, like in the 1500s, there were guilds and there were organizations for artists where they could join and be a part of a consolidated body of people who could charge appropriately for their work and get paid and be appreciated. But when the guilds fell apart and people became freer from that whole thing, it was a funny thing because the guilds had power over everybody, and there were a lot of the artists were resentful of them. But then when they fell apart, they realized, hey, it's really hard to market my work. Right. It takes up half my time, and I should be painting.
Right. Well, and the guilds took most of the money, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm intrigued with, you live in Hawaii. How do you run a business, so far away from, the rest of the country? Do you do a lot of online work? How do you keep it going?
Well, that's an interesting question. I do live right smack in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, but thank God for technology, or else I wouldn't be able to have even a fraction of the clients that I have. I've got clients on every continent because of technology, essentially the internet, teleclass stuff, like the recording mechanism you're using right now is the same one that I use for my clients. And then just in the past couple of years, technology has really expanded so that you can do free webinars and screen sharing and all that kind of stuff. Like I've got clients who literally, they can say today, Angela, could you make a book cover for me? And I can make one and send them the proof copy, and they can pay for it and be done with it all within 2 days.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
It's just incredible. I mean, before we had the internet, we would have had to wait a week to get it to them and a week for them to get their answer back, and, it was just, I can't even imagine how we did business before.
Isn't that funny? Isn't it funny? Well, it's very true, too, and I love in my business how technology just really erases the borders and the boundaries, makes it possible for you to make money where the money is rather than, your little local area where it may not be flowing as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. And especially, for authors, having the technology on Amazon, that's just huge. Not even 5 years ago, people were not on Amazon, and now anybody can go and sell just about anything on it.
It's a game changer, definitely. I'm really intrigued that you've actually got several separate facets to your business and your professional life. You're an artist, you're a business coach, you're an author. You do so much more. How do you keep it all straight? How do you keep things running in the right direction?
You're assuming that I do. It's hard. I like having fingers in many pies, and sometimes I get tired. But the only way really that I found to be able to do it is to have a really good calendar. Because otherwise, you know how it is. If you're an artist yourself, you get engrossed in doing something, and 5 hours later you go, oh, nuts, I was supposed to meet somebody for an interview, or darn, I missed my own teleclass.
Well, it's important to be in the zone, especially as solo pros, and know where our zones are. So I think that's important to know. Like you say, you also have to have that structure in place to get you to your meetings on time.
Yeah. You talk about being in the zone, and for many years, I believed that if I got out of the zone when I was in it, I'd never get back into the same place. But I've trained myself to be able to just walk into my studio and pick up where I left off and still have that same kind of, I know what I'm doing, high kind of feeling. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's interesting.
But I think you have to just train yourself to get there.
Well, and trust yourself.
If you're interested in a whole bunch of things, you've got to make a commitment to those things and spend quality time with them. Otherwise, you're going to just have shoddy products.
Right. Well, let me ask, there's kind of a question, like a big elephant around this topic is, you've got a lot of interests. Which ones do you do you focus on to bring in the money? Where's the ROI there? How do you separate them?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say overall my favorite thing to do would be my sculpture, but that's also my karmic shackle and chain because I have not been very successful about selling them. And so for ROI, which is, the audience doesn't know what that is, it's return on investment. So if I'm going to put time into something that I know I can get money back from, it's usually my coaching, business and marketing coaching, and my book author coaching, and creating covers for people, because that's a very lucrative field right there. You can get as much as $1,500 for a cover.
Right.
So I just consider it my day job. I love it. It's not a 9-to-5 grind kind of job, but it's something that I know that I can bring, income in and support my habit, which is the sculpture.
Well, let me ask, how did you, because it's intriguing to me that you went from being a sculpturist and an artist, and then a business and marketing coach. How did the business and marketing coach come about?
Well, as I told you before, I had no training in business or marketing, and my attitude was, and this was like in the late 90s, early 2000s, okay? And up until that time, my whole attitude about business was that I didn't have time for it. I didn't have the head for it. I didn't want to think about it. Marketing was for other people. I didn't believe that it was ethical.
Right.
And I just simply figured, okay, here's my work. It needs to speak for itself. I'm just going to be the maker and put this stuff out in the world, and of course people will come buy it. Well, guess what? They didn't.
It didn't work that way, did it?
They really didn't. And after many, many, many years of that, I developed a pretty severe case of depression and self-hatred and self-rejection. I must not be good enough. People don't like my work. All those thoughts that you have. And then I ran into a emotional self-help tool called EFT, the Emotional Freedom Techniques, and within about 6 weeks, all of that depression was gone because I worked every single day on it, just non-stop. I was so sick of thinking like that, and this was my key out of all of that disastrous thinking.
Right.
And so I thought, okay, what can I do next? And suddenly all of these people were coming to me going, Angela, you've changed so much. What have you done? So I started helping them with the EFT and realized that I had a fledgling business going, and that if I was going to be successful at it, I had to get the word out somehow. Marketing! So I started working on marketing with people. Because with EFT, when you work on somebody else's thing, your thing also gets healed. So my whole attitude and thinking about marketing and selling, selling is for sleaze bags and all those beliefs, money is evil, those went bye-bye, and now I have been very successful at helping people with their business structure. What do you do first? What do you do second? Who do you talk to and what do you do next? And then the marketing, helping people get out of that selling is for sleaze bags idea and understanding that selling is really serving because you're putting something in the marketplace that somebody's looking for, and if you don't tell them about it, they're not going to know it's there.
Right.
So that's pretty much how I got into it. It was kind of through the back door, but you always teach what you got to learn, right?
Well, definitely. That's the part that you tend to do the most research into. So, yeah, I think you eventually become an expert at it.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you.
Now,
oh, go ahead.
Now I consider. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Finish your thought.
Well, I was just going to say that I consider marketing fun now because I get to say, woohoo! I'm doing such and such. Like my little Facebook post today. Woohoo! I'm being interviewed by Barbara Saunders. That was fun to do. Whereas in the past, I would have sat there for an hour thinking, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a sleazebag. I'm embarrassed to be selling myself. I'm talking about myself. That's a bad thing. People are going to laugh at me. All those beliefs, they're not part of my world anymore.
That's really intriguing. So now you do EFT training, and then again, that was emotional freedom technique. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about that. Do you do that in conjunction with your business coaching, or is that something separate?
Oh, no, I do it right along with it, because most of the people that I work with are either new to entrepreneurship or are stuck at a certain level, their entrepreneurship. And the only reason we get stuck is because we have some belief somewhere in our system that says, I can't do this, or if I do this, I'll be thrown out by my tribe, or somebody will laugh at me, or something where the investment, something where the belief says you can't do this because if you do it, you'll be unsafe.
Right.
It's like a person who's overweight saying, yeah, I want to lose weight, as she's stuffing her face with chocolate cake. Some part of her does not want to lose weight, and so it's overriding her conscious thought that says, I want to lose weight. It's the same thing with marketing and business. I want to be successful. Well, some part of you might be embarrassed to be out in public or be visible. A lot of women are really scared of being visible.
Very much
or
so.
Telling their truth because they'll get yelled at or punished or laughed at or shunned, or their husband will leave them. Those are the beliefs they have.
Definitely. Well, and a lot of it, comes from early childhood where you had to let the boy win, or don't show the boy you're smarter than them, or so you're very right there, and those are old, I call it mental software that has a glitch in it. We have to get those bugs out.
Yes, exactly.
Very powerful.
Yeah, and until you get those glitches out, you can't get past that block that you're feeling, and you feel discouraged, and then you make it worse by feeling bad about feeling bad. So it's definitely a part of my work with business owners, because I want them to be successful. We need to get past those things.
Well, it's so powerful once you do. I'm intrigued. What sort of businesses do you work with mostly?
Oh gosh, it's mostly people who are creatives, like artists, authors, speakers, performers, people who are out there in front of people. Entrepreneurs in general. There are a lot of people who work with EFT with CEOs, or
Right.
A lot of emotional work with people who are struggling with pain or emotional pain. I don't like to do that because I get discouraged. There's nowhere for them to go. I can't measure their success other than I feel better. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah. Whereas with business, you can see as they overcome the hurdles.
Yeah, and there's really pretty precise measuring mechanisms. Like if you come to me and you say, Angela, I'm making $5,000 a month and I really want to make $10,000, we can measure that.
Excellent. Well, you touched a little bit on working with authors. I know that's kind of a sweet spot for you. Let's talk about, the changes for authors today. I know it used to be really hard with the old publishing business model where you had to get accepted by a publisher and you had to go through an editor and a sales rep to get you into the publisher, and then you made maybe $1 per book,
Yeah, if
Let's
you're lucky.
talk a little bit about what's going on today. It's really evolutionary.
It's pretty astounding. We were talking about technology earlier. Technology has really changed the game. In the past, you would have to write your book, re-edit it 1 million times, get it to an agent. You couldn't even take it to a publisher yourself. You had to get an agent.
Right.
And then maybe if you got accepted, it would be at least 18 months to 2 years before your book is even published. And then maybe you'd make 30 cents to $1 per book.
Right. And you still had to do the marketing.
If they published a lot and sent it to bookstores, and the bookstores didn't sell them, the returns would come in. You'd have to pay for the returns out of your advance.
Oh, that's painful.
It's really painful. But today, you can literally write a book today and get it published tonight.
You know, that's
I'm not saying that you're going to write a 180-page book in a day, but, you know, some of my books are only, 6 pages long.
Really?
Yeah. I discovered that people like to buy quick little books that are info, like recipe books or little quick tip books on something very, very specific. So I got this idea that, being a little over 30 myself, I wanted some money to retire on. And so I figured, okay, let's say I wrote one little book a week, every single week for a year. I'd have 52 books, and I sell them at 99 cents or $1.99 each. That adds up. So I thought, okay, what about other retired people? What about moms whose kids have grown up and gone away, and they've got 100 million recipes from grandma that they'd like to share with people? Or maybe there's a mom who's got kid tips, or a CEO who knows how to motivate people. There's so many different areas that people know about that they're not sharing. And so if you took one thing, one small thing, and wrote an article, let's say 4.5 pages, and published it in a small book with a nice cover on the Kindle, and you did that every week, you could start accumulating sales that would give you, between a small and a hefty income every single month.
That's really intriguing. Now, you say you do work with authors. Is this part of the strategy that you work with them on?
Yeah, I have a course called Create Passive. You're going to have to edit this one out. I can't even say the name of my course. The course is Create Passive Income with Your Little Kindle Books. And the key word here is little, because, you and I think of books as 180, 200 pages, right? But the truth is that there are people who want information, they want it quickly, they want it down dirty, quick, and succinct, and if you can do it within 4.5 to 10 pages, you've got a book.
That's interesting.
I'm not saying that it's going to be, schlock. You have to write quality stuff for people to come back to you and go, oh, Angela's got a new book out this week. I wonder where it's going to be. So you have to make sure you got quality, and you also have to conform to Amazon standards, which is, I think you have to have a minimum of 2,500 words per book. That's not going to apply if you're going to write kids' books, but for most books, that's not very much. That's 4.5 pages. Big deal.
Right. So let me ask, is that something, because I remember it used to be that you had to have at least 50 words so there was a spine when it was sitting on a bookshelf. But now with Kindle, does that mean that there really isn't a page page number requirement?
Well, with a Kindle, that's hard to determine because you can change the font size on the Kindle. So you might start off with a book that looks like it's 4.5 pages, but if you change the font size to be bigger, it's going to be 20 pages.
Right.
So with a Word document, if you write single space 4.5 pages, let's say that's 25 paragraphs, that's going to be sufficient for the 2,500 word cutoff. But if you write more than that, obviously it's okay. An 80-page book, that's fine.
Right.
So it depends on your subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
How much can you write 2,500 words in a recipe? I mean, that's hard.
Probably not in a recipe, but I'm thinking, with a lot of our business owners out there who've been taught to create, a free ebook or something like that. that sounds like it could be very easy for them to take their old ebooks and just put them into Kindle.
Yes, they can do that, but they have to be careful, and this is something that I go over in the course. You have to be careful because there's a program called KDP Select.
Right.
It's a great thing to sign up for because when people borrow your book in the Kindle library, you get credit for it, you get paid for it. But you cannot have that same ebook or PDF anywhere else online during the time that you're in that program.
Okay. So it'd have to be a really old ebook they wrote. That's offline now.
It has to be a unique ebook. You can take it out of the KDP Select program and then it's no problem. There's hundreds of other venues that you can put your books in. And that's been one of the fascinating things about learning about writing these books. I've got a couple of mentors who are supremely successful. One guy has $10,000 a month off his Amazon books. It's just
really
incredible. But there's so many different venues. You don't think about book aggregators, and you've got online libraries. You've got all the different, Barnes & Noble and Nook and all those things. You've got Smashwords and ebook.com. You can create audio books from your books and have them on, what's it called, audible.com, I think it is. There's so many different ways you can use that same material and repurpose it. That's another thing I teach in the classes. 20 different ways to repurpose the material in your book for multiple streams of income.
Really fascinating. Let me ask, I know sometimes when people say authors, they think of more, whodunit authors or romance novels or something like that. You work more with people who are writing nonfiction, is that right?
Yeah, most of the people that I work with are nonfiction authors. I have a couple of wonderful poets. I have a few artists who, one gal, Lainey Frick, she's created just a marvelous how to paint with brilliant colors program, and she's got 4 ebooks and 4 DVDs that go along with it that she sells on her website. She's just really done a fabulous job. So it's not all just straight information, like tech stuff. Mm-hmm. But most of the people are health coaches or EFT coaches or people who want to get across ideas about how to live better.
Okay. And you help them. I was intrigued in the introduction that you actually get them marketing their book before they ever write the book. What's going on there?
Yeah. Marketing is the big bugaboo for a lot. There's 2 bottlenecks with writing a book that I've noticed that artists fall into. One is creating a really good cover because most people don't know Photoshop.
Right.
And I tell them, show them how to do it. It's really simple to do with software they already have. They don't have to buy expensive software. And then the other thing is marketing. Because, like I said, most people think of it as an extra something to do.
Right.
So I show them before they write their book how they can start marketing it before they even write a single word.
Interesting. I know for a lot of listeners, we've gotten feedback where just the word marketing tends to bring people out in hives and they hyperventilate. Because it doesn't. It's very. I was a marketing director back in the 90s. Marketing today is nothing like it was 20 years ago. It can be such a confusing quagmire. Can you maybe talk to us about a little bit how they would do that, get started marketing a book that they haven't written yet?
Well, let's look at an author's audience. Let's say that you're going to write a book and it's going to be a whodunit. Who is going to read that book?
Well, I would think mystery people who love mysteries.
Yeah, okay. And so what particular type of mystery are you going to write your book about?
Oh, let's go Agatha Christie.
Ah, okay. And is this a book is going to be interesting to men or women or both?
Women. Let's say women.
I didn't catch that. Say it again.
Women.
Women. Okay. So you see how we're narrowing down our audience a little bit?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now let's say that you were a woman author. Let's say that you're what's her name? Who wrote the Harry Potter series? What's her name?
J.K. Rowling.
Let's say that you're her. You're targeting your book towards kids, mostly, a little bit older kids.
Right.
It's a mystery. It's sci-fi at the same time. It's fantasy. And those readers are going to want to know all about the mystery and the magic and all that stuff. What is it that they want? What do they want? A thrill? Do they want to be scared? Do they want to be taken into fantastic realms?
Yeah.
These are some of the questions that you have to ask yourself as your author, as being an author, because you say, what does this reader want from me?
Right.
Now, so let's take me. I've written several books, many books actually, on EFT. What do people who want to read those books want from me? What do they need?
Now, do you presuppose they already know about EFT or what that is?
Well, I don't assume that. I assume that people who are going to read those books are complete newbies. So in every one of them, there's this foreword talking about EFT, what it is, and where they can get some free information on it. Like at EFTineveryhome.com, they can go there and get a free demo, and then I take them through a little mini session. And so my question to you, myself as an author, is what do these people need from me? Now, let's say I see in the marketplace that there are people who are struggling with anger.
Right.
And so I write a little book about anger and frustration.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm targeted right towards something very specific. And that doesn't mean, it's just women who are 40 and they have a job and they've got a red car and 2 children. That's not the demographic I want. I want the demographic that says, this is something I need. And so now I'm going to talk to you as my friend about, hey, Barbara, I've decided to write a book about anger and frustration. Do you have any questions about, healing anger and frustration? What are your particular ideas about that? What would you need? And I would ask people, what do you need? What do you want to know about this particular subject? I'm marketing when I'm doing that.
Oh, so you're doing kind of market research and some surveys?
Well, I do take surveys, but most of the time I'll talk to people in person. I've got a pretty big mailing list, so I'll call up people and say, hey, I noticed that you bought such and such a book. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I've got some questions for you. Would you be interested in this? And then we have a conversation, and they answer my questions, and now they know about my book. See, I've marketed without actually outright saying, hey, go buy my book.
That really intrigues me. I'm remembering at the beginning of the hour you thought, originally thought that marketing, was from the dark side, and and now I'm hearing you talk about marketing more about gathering information and learning, I can learn this from this person and put it into my book. So it's an interesting transition you've made.
That's the beginning of the marketing, though. You have to continue because let's say that now you've written your book,
right?
And you've got to get it out in the marketplace. And so instead of going to Facebook or Twitter or whatever and saying, hey, go buy this book, you get your best friends to go to Amazon and get your book for free. You do a free promotion on it or a 99-cent promotion on it, and you get them to get it and write a review for you. So that gets you, if you do enough of those, you'll get to a #1 position. That's $1 million tip, guys.
That is really brilliant. As I'm listening to you, I love business models. They're kind of, I call business models, they're really systems and procedures. A collection of procedures makes a business model. What I'm hearing you describe is a business model.
You're absolutely right. And if you don't have a business model, you'll be staggering out all scattered all over the place, and it's no fun, and you quit.
Right, right.
But if you have a certain step-by-step process to go through, as you know, it makes it so much easier. And so I get my authors to write specifically who's going to read your book, who needs what's in your book, why do they need it, what are they going to get out of it, and why should they listen to you? You know, what do you know? And that question right there sends a lot of people into tizzy because they go, well, I don't know, why should they listen to me? They have no clue how valuable they are as a carrier of really specific, good, valuable information. And once they can answer that question, why should people listen to you, their self-esteem goes up, and they settle into a stronger state of confidence, which then makes it so that they can write a better book and talk about their book later on as, hey, you know, I'm really excited about my book on anger and frustration. You got to see this. Come over to my site here. Or I'd love to invite you to come get my book for free on Amazon today.
You know, that is it's really fascinating me. I'm kind of harking back to your conversation about the EFT training and seeing how it must fit in very clearly with helping these people begin to speak about what they're an expert at.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely. The one thing that I've noticed is a constant all the way across the board, anybody that I work with, is that confidence must be raised. I don't care where you are in your confidence. You could have an 8 out of 10. You still got to get to 10 at some point.
Right.
But you're a whole lot better off than somebody who's at a 2. But that confidence has got to be raised. You've got to be able to talk about yourself in such a way that's so inviting and compelling to people that they say, wow, that sounds great. Where can I get that?
Let me ask a question. This might kind of drive our golf cart off into the rough, but you know, when we talk about confidence, what's the difference between confidence and arrogance when it comes to marketing?
That's a really great question. I think arrogance comes from it's a mask that you wear that looks like...
okay, authenticity right? Maybe.
But it really covers up a fear of, I'm not great, I wish I could do it as well as he does, I'll never be good enough.
You know, that's a great point. And I think it goes back to your EFT training again, where you remove those I call them gremlin voices. You know?
Yes, they are gremlin voices. But there's another person who's arrogant, and that's the person who never learned that entitlement is a privilege. It's not a right.
That's good.
I worked for somebody a long time ago who had that entitlement attitude, and I wanted to strangle her because she figured that she was superior, that she deserved certain treatment, and I just said, you know what? I got a problem here. I quit.
Then you went and wrote a book about it, right?
So I really don't understand somebody who's got an attitude like that, and I am very impatient with it. I won't put up with it. But most people are the exact opposite. They think, I don't deserve. Who am I to write a book? Why would anybody buy it? You know, all of those things. You get past that because you've got unique, valuable information that everybody wants to know. Why are you holding it back from us? You're depriving us.
You know, that's so important, especially for the women in our listeners to hear. I think it was last week that Warren Buffett had said, you know, this year this recession, we're going to bill out so much faster and higher because we're engaging the women in our community more than we did after World War II, where you know, women weren't used. Their input wasn't valued. And I think that exactly is kind of what you're talking to, is bringing out all those women who have been sequestered for so many years and all that brilliance and creativity.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that. And you know what's so interesting to me? Is that women, see if you agree with this, women are multidimensional thinkers. We have to be in order to hold the kid on our hip as we're stirring the soup, and Johnny's over there doing his homework and coaching him. Yeah, 2 and 2 is 4, and the phone's ringing, and oh my God, the counter's dirty. We have to be able to aware of and address all of those things all at once.
Right.
And that to me is the same thing that an entrepreneur does.
Well, and it brings back, they say necessity is the mother of invention. They don't say it's the father of invention.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the way men think, but women
it's
think
just different
in specific ways that are conducive to being successful as an entrepreneur.
Exactly. And I totally agree
even
with you.
As a CEO of a company, for heaven's sake, that we have to think in different directions. The only thing that people get hung up on is delegation.
Yes, definitely. That's a big stumbling block. But I wanted to ask you, Angela, I'm just so fascinated with what you're doing and where you're going. How did you first get interested in, kind of this sort of business and marketing? I love that you're helping people take their brilliance and their knowledge and their expertise and learning how to monetize that. How did that come out as a business passion for you?
Well, once again, it's all personal based. I wrote my first EFT book the first year after I learned it. There weren't any EFT books at that time, and I had written the guy who founded EFT, Gary Craig, with some of my own experiences, and he published those in his newsletter. And I got a note from Dr. Patricia Carrington, who was at the time very, very much at the forefront of EFT, still is, saying, Angela, you write so well, why don't you write a book on EFT? There aren't any. And I'm going, are you kidding? You want me to write a book on EFT?
Oh, good for you.
And so I thought, all right, I'll do this because I like to write. I discovered writing that note to Gary and other people that I like to write. And so I spent about 6 months doing case studies, working with local people and doing a lot of tapping and working on their problems and stuff. And I wrote a book on EFT. And then once again, marketing reared its ugly little head, said, Angela, if you're going to sell this, you've got to do something about it. So I created a site, EFTbooks.com, where at the first year I sold other people's books as well as my own. But at the end of that first year, I noticed that they weren't doing very well, the other people's books, because I really didn't know much about telling people about books at that point. So I threw everybody off and just started selling my own books, which started to sell really well. And it's just grown from there. You get into something and you notice what's needed and you fix that, and then you fix something else, and then you do something else. It's just kind of grown from there.
That so fascinates me, and I'm going to have to dig more into your program. Tell me how people get started working with you.
Well, if they want individual coaching, they can go to AngelaTreatLyon.com and connect with me there. If people want to find out more about the book program, Create Passive Income with Your Little Kindle Books, they can go to WriteBooksGetRich.com, and that's WriteBooksGetRich.com.
Okay, and make sure that's Is it R-I-T-E? Is that what you said? As in the
right. WRITE.
WriteBooksGetRich.com. And is that a 6-month program, a 3-month program? What's that program look like?
Oh no, it's very short. It's a home study program. There's 6 modules where I go through how to write your book correctly, so that you're covered with your copyright and all that kind of stuff, and then your introduction and how to do table of contents, and I give you templates to work with, and I go over. I do a whole program, a whole module on tapping for all of the fears and doubts and worries. And we go into doing your cover and what the cover elements have to be. We go into marketing. I cover how to publish your book and how to set up your Amazon page. All those things, there's so much to do. And it can be done so quickly because it's really simple. Amazon makes it really, really simple for you. So it's a 6-week program. It's very short. You can do it on your own time. And you also have a lifetime membership in my secret Facebook group where I'm there every day giving people answers to their questions and giving them advice and tips and articles on things that I find that would help them. It's a very dynamic, supportive group. It's about 50 people now.
Excellent. I just know so many people who are going to be so interested in this program.
Oh, well, I hope so. And when you go to writebooksgetrich.com, in the upper right-hand corner, there's a link to a free audio introduction of the class, and if you can download that and listen to it, or get the transcript and read it. Either way, it works for you. But that's free, so that you can find out more and get even more inspired and excited. Because even if you don't take the course, there's enough information in there that you can start right now. Obviously, I want you to take the course so that you can get all the goodies out of it, and you don't make the same kind of mistakes that I made. Because there's several things that can really knock you off your feet.
And that's the value, I think, of working with someone like you, is that you've been down the road and you've kind of, these things are evolving so quickly that we really do need a guide who can kind of tell us how to stay away from the cliffs and the quagmires.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that if you don't know what they are, you can get into so much hassle. What kind of software to use and how to write the book so that it's compliant to the Amazon rules and stuff like that. And they change the rules. So I keep those things updated.
And that's important. We don't always pay attention. I know I put a book up on Amazon earlier this year, but I don't go in there and see what's going on and what's changed since then. So that's really valuable.
Well, it's an interesting thing. There's been a huge surge in Kindle book creators, and I've noticed over the past few months that some of those books are really unforgivably bad quality. I mean, I'm just going to say it like it is. And I think that's the reason they changed the word count, because up until then there wasn't one. And just recently they said you have to have 2,500 words or more in your book. And I think it's because there are people who are doing like one-page books that are pretty schlocky, or that have been outsourced to people who don't speak English very well and they aren't edited, or the grammar's bad. Amazon wants to sell good books.
Well, and I think we should want to too. That's our professional positioning. At least
absolutely.
For me it is. So
absolutely.
It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to be good.
That's one of my requirements. Like I've got this one little secret group. It's a mastermind where we get together and I show them how to promote their books, and we do a group promotion in a very specific way that gets them to number one on their specific category page. But their book has to be reviewed by me, or else I'm not going to approve it, and I will not market it.
I think that's really important. That's got your name on it, your reputation.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, Angela, we're reaching the end of our hour. I wanted to ask, what is the most important thing that you'd like to share with our listeners today, overall, being a solo business brilliant woman?
Thank you for that. All of my life, I've been supremely creative. I've probably got 10 people share. There are 10 people out there going, where's my share of creativity? And so I just can't stand it when I see somebody who has something of value and isn't sharing it and isn't speaking about it or giving people tips or sharing their recipes or whatever it is that they do that they love to do. And so my big thing is to say, for heaven's sakes, you're a unique person. you've got unique skills, talents, and expertise. Please share them with everybody, because otherwise the world has lost out.
Right.
It's less rich when you don't share. So my request of people is to say, speak up, stand up, and say, yes, this is me. I have value. This is my passion. Don't you want to share this with me or pass it on to somebody you know who would love it?
Right, there's somebody out there who needs that.
Imagine if you, with your training in art, if you hadn't shared that with people, how devastating that would have been to you and the people who missed out.
Oh, definitely. Well, and the more you share, I think the more you grow. And so you're really, cheating yourself out of that growth opportunity if you don't get it out there. I think that's really brilliant. And we need more light in the world today. All those little points of light that are hiding under bushels.
Yep, I'm here to rip off that bushel and on your feet. Stand up and shine, baby.
Well, that is just too brilliant. Yeah, I think I'm going to investigate your program for me. I'm really excited about that. The marketing and the getting your books out there, because I think you're right. We do have a lot of knowledge and expertise, and this is a brilliant business model for someone who,
well, thank you.
Yeah, who may not want to.
Love to have you in that program.
I think it's an excellent program, and again, I want to say the URL for our listeners. It's Write, RIWRITE, WriteBooksGetRich.com. So talk about cause and effect.
Thank you.
Write the book and then get rich.
That's right.
And if you'd like to know more about our guest today, Angela Treat Lyon, like it's a treat to have you here, and you are a lioness.
Well, thank you. So, it's really been a pleasure. We could probably talk all day, couldn't we?
We really could. We could do a 3-hour radio show.
Well, maybe we should do a marathon someday.
A marathon. Wouldn't that be fun?
That'd be outrageous.
Yeah. People would be paying us to shut up by the 6th hour.
I don't think so. Not if we gave them good enough information that they could have about a notebook full of notes by the time they hung up.
I know. It's good stuff. Well, Angela, thank you so much for being my guest today. What's next for you? What's coming up on your schedule that people can be aware of?
Well, I'm refining the program. There's a few changes, like I said, that Amazon's made, and I discovered a way to create just amazingly beautiful covers without using any kind of image modification software like GIMP or Photoshop. It's so easy. It just knocks you off your feet.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm creating a program around that where I may even sell that just by itself. It's so powerful. So those are just a couple things. And of course, I'm always writing new books.
Well, very, very exciting. Again, that's writebooksgetrich.com or AngelaTreatLyon.com. And thank you so much for being with us today, Angela. It's always a pleasure to chat with you. I want to invite our listeners to join us tomorrow as we talk to another brilliant solo pro, and we're helping you build your business one brilliant expert at a time.
Well, thank you, Margaret. It's really been a pleasure, and I look forward to listening to your show tomorrow.
Excellent. Thank you.